What the fuck is this weirdo up to this time around, eating yogurt at the park? Well, good that you should ask. I wanted to tell a story of something that happened to me about 2 years ago in Morocco. At the time, I was bumming around the world because I was fresh out of university and I didn't have a visa to stay here in Europe. Long story short, I ended up living in Morocco for 2 months in a little town called Chefchaouen, which has these beautiful blue buildings, and it looks like something out of a cartoon if you see it from a distance, because every single building is blue. But in that place, I started going to this restaurant called Bab Sur, and Bab Sur sort of had these very traditional Moroccan dishes, and it was great. So I started going more or less on a daily basis, and I started ordering one day this yogurt. Supposedly it was like handmade family recipe and bullshit, like, you know. I tried it once and it was astounding. I never had a yogurt like that, and I kept ordering it and ordering it and ordering it every single day of the week that I went there. But one day I saw that they were scooping it out of like a big container, like the type of thing that you get in the supermarket. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. This wasn't handmade, this was bought, but dressed up really nicely. And suddenly the illusion crashed. By realizing that it wasn't the thing that I thought it was, I was disillusioned and never ordered it again. Which is weird in a way, because objectively speaking, I had enjoyed it. But the irrational part of my brain, my emotional side, was like, no, I can just get it elsewhere. And I never did get it elsewhere, but that did not stop my irrational side of my brain of saying, no, what's the point? This reminded me of this story of this one time where I met a man in Covent Garden. If you've never been in Covent Garden, they often have shows, and to perform there you kind of have to be at the top of your game, like you need a license. But there was a man there who played his role as Charlie Chaplin. I looked at his show several times, but not with the usual eyes of an audience. But I looked at him trying to understand why he had structured his show in the way he had. And I remember seeing that the last 10 minutes of his show were devoted to him convincing people to pay him, but he did it in the Charlie Chaplin way of pictures and miming and stuff of the sort. And this always confused me. I couldn't for the life of me try to explain why it was that he didn't just dedicate the show more time, build up more momentum, more rapport with the audience, and then just ask for money at the very, very end, but with words, which would take you 10 seconds at most. And I decided to ask him about it. And he said, well, the thing is, I've tried that before, and people don't react to that well, because it breaks character. It breaks this common world that you've established. And as a consequence, all of a sudden people are all too aware that this is a man dressed up as Charlie Chaplin who wants money, not necessarily because he's greedy, but simply because he needs food to eat. Much like, say, when you go to Disneyland, characters are not allowed to take off their masks because they would break the illusion that that's actually Mickey, that that's actually Pluto, that that's actually Goofy. Much like that would happen And I kind of realized that we do it to an extent whenever we talk to one another. Whenever we interact with people, we are different. Say when we're interacting with our parents, with our school teachers, with our bosses, with our friends. In every single one of those instances, we are playing somebody else. As in, they're still the same person, but we highlight different traits. If you don't quite understand the role that you're playing, if you don't fully embrace the characters that you're playing, and you don't understand what their underlying motivations are, or what their traits are, then you'll start accidentally causing the yogurt situation where despite your best intentions, despite your best efforts, you simply broke character. You simply showed an aspect of yourself that contradicts the whole mythology, the whole life story that you established up until that point. And even if it leaves you sympathetic, people do not care. They care more for the story, they care more for the mythos. It's not about lying, it's about highlighting aspects of yourself that you want to show. Never lie about who you are, what you represent. But much like you wouldn't show everything in your CV that has happened to you, but you show your good traits, you show aspects of yourself that sell you. I think that's how it should be. Later on, once you've created this mythology, you might start showing aspects of yourself that don't necessarily contradict, but add greater depth to that character. But at the end of the day, the only person who will ever know you fully is yourself, because you're the only person who's with you the whole time. At the end of the day, people will judge you on what they see. Whether it's nice or not, it's irrelevant. They will react based on the information that they have. So you should be aware that we're constantly playing characters. If you don't engage in this game, if you don't try to play the best type of character that you can manage, then life will get the better of you. But hey, that's just my thoughts about a yogurt in Morocco. See you next week.